Wait, you mean to tell me Americans don't want to pick lettuce for $2 an hour? No. Now the farmers are crying because they can't find any workers.
Yo, the final report. MAGA voters, MAGA supporters, MAGA farmers, they are outraged that black people ain't going back to the farms. Yo, you mean that MAGA people, white Americans cannot go to the farms? You mean they can't work for $2 per hour? It's only black people want to do that. I want you to watch these clips of MAGA, these clips here, and then I'm going to talk about it.
Ain't that something? After you pushed out all of the immigrant workers who actually did the job, now you're standing around wondering why Chet and Kaylee won't come pick your cabbage in 100-degree weather for $4.75 and a Capri Sun? Y'all really thought folks were going to jump at the chance to break their backs for pennies on a dollar. But you know what's even funnier, y'all? Some of these farmers say the American workers they do get, they don't even last the whole damn day. One guy said somebody walked off by lunch, and honestly, I support it. Listen, I wouldn't be out there picking strawberries and fighting bees and being dehydrated just so that farmer could sell those strawberries for $12.99 a box at Whole Foods. Negative. See, they've been telling you this lie for years. They took our jobs. Nah, Americans, you didn't want those jobs. You just didn't want them to have the jobs either. Now look at you, a field full of crops and not a soul to pick them. Next time, think twice before turning labor into a culture war. Because now, it's just you and your own...
Boy, them farmers, they are really complaining. And I'm going to report every bit of it. You know why? Because our black farmers wasn't getting anything. And yet our black farmers had to struggle. Now, this farmer is going to be out of Iowa. Now, his congressman is there at a town hall. And I want you to watch exactly what he says to this congressman about the tariffs and what he says about Trump. Let's check. Now, it was interesting to me that he said that he had about 3,500 acres of land, ladies and gentlemen. My question is, where do you get all that land from? That is a lot of land, right? Because I know good and well you didn't really purchase it because you came here to this country and it was somebody else's land. You know what I'm saying? But that's beside the point. He mentioned in 1986 or so, he spent $30 to plant something. Man, the 80s is gone, bro. Them days is not coming back, unfortunately, because if the 80s were here, man, we would be saving so much money. You know, I sometimes watch them videos showing the prices from the 90s and the 80s, and I remember all these prices too. I was like, man, boy, we had them prices again. Anyway, so the majority of the farmers.
Next up on the FAFO tour, Texas farmers. One day, these farms in Texas had hundreds of workers tending the fields and the livestock. And the very next day, all of those workers are gone. That's what has happened in Texas. And entire fields of crops are being left to rot because there's no one to pick them. Livestock, like dairy cows, that have to be milked twice a day when they're lactating, there's no one to tend to them. These farms are going to go under. And it's not going to just affect Texas farmers. This is going to affect the breadbasket of the nation very soon. Most of these farmers voted for the felon in chief. And now they are reaping what they have sown, quite literally. Is America great yet? And all of these red-faced conservative MAGA folk who have complained for years about these illegal immigrants are taking our jobs. It's funny, they're not lining up to go work out in these fields for that low pay out in the hot sun. And what's unspoken is many of these farmers and many of these racists thought that we black Americans were going to rush out there because they have come to believe their own racist stereotypes and lies about black people. And they did. They thought we were going to line up to go work in those fields. Ha ha, tricks are for kids. Our ancestors already been there and done that, and they were not paid at all. They were forced to work in fields, whipped and tortured. This is a new day. And so I suggest everyone who has ever complained about illegal immigrants taking our jobs, you get you some 100 SPF sunscreen and get your ass out there in the fields if you want produce, period, in your grocery stores. And think about this. This is going to have a ripple effect. Think about all the businesses that are vendors and customers of these farms. There's no one to buy fertilizer, farm implements, pesticides. Many restaurants that are farm to table, where they're going to get their meat and their produce. Racism is expensive, and it is going to be the ruin of this nation. It's already playing out. So again, I ask, MAGA, are we great again yet? And when are y'all gonna go out to Texas and all these other areas that need work and start working the fields, since you're a patriotic American? I'm waiting to see when that's going to happen, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
We're here. We are here at the FAFO stage. This is really bad. And if you appreciate my content, please engage with this video. I'm just going to read this to you. Multiple Texas farms shut down after almost 100% of workforce vanishes overnight. In a stunningly swift overnight change, some Texas farm operations had to shut down after losing virtually all of their workforce, an exodus triggered by the increase in immigration raids and increased enforcement. The ripple effects of these raids are the gift that keeps on giving and will be felt nationwide. Unpicked crops are now left unharvested. Livestock were left untended, and rural economies are on edge. The story isn't just a tale of woe for Texas farms, it's a warning for American agribusiness, food prices, and communities that keep food on our plates. I need you to share this with every Republican you know. And you don't even need to wait for their response. They just need to know what's happening. And this is part of my line of work. I deal with commercial farmers, including these small farmers, as clients, and I cannot tell you how this is the beginning of the complete collapse of our economy under this Project 2025 administration that doesn't know what they're doing. You talk about the immediate shuttering of farms, because this is actually what's happening with the food, with the harvests that are lying there completely rotting. That is a loss of food to local food distributors, local grocery stores, local restaurants, hospitals. They sell their harvests, all sorts of vegetables, to businesses within the state of Texas. This is where you can go into your local grocery store, and now you're going to see hardly any vegetables or fruit, depending on what they're growing, or a shortage of meat. This is what's going to happen. Now, all of the other industries that support farming, you've got local pesticide, herbicide, fertilizer suppliers that are just, their sales are going to plummet. These farmers aren't going to be purchasing that. You've got H-2A workers who are now gone, migrant workers who are now gone. They were paying taxes. Even if they didn't have social security numbers, they were given tax numbers, tax ID numbers. So now you got millions of dollars just poof, gone overnight from these Texas communities. You've got trucking companies that are hired to haul the produce from the farms to the packaging plants. You've got packaging plants who wash the vegetables, grade the vegetables, pack the vegetables, whose sales are going to plummet. Now you're going to have other industries who don't employ either migrant workers or H-2A workers who are going to have layoffs. This is all under Republican leadership, not just from the White House, but from the Republicans that were elected in the state of Texas. And if you think this is going to stop at Texas, you've got another thing coming. And you want to know which farms are going to be impacted further down the road? They're going to be safe for now. There's a small percentage of farmers who are actually Democrats. And they understand how important it is to protect their employees, take care of their employees. those employees who feel safe will keep showing up for work because they know the owners have their backs, which says something about these other farms where the employees are like, I'm too scared to show up. Let me add this final thing. This is going to impact farmers. They're at risk of going out of business. Who's going to jump in? The federal government to compensate them with our tax dollars. So now our tax dollars is going to be used to cover the bullshit leadership of this administration on top of the overwhelming increasing tax dollars being used by this administration to scare, to deport, to imprison people with brown skin. Like our tax dollars are not helping everyday Americans at all. And this is just the beginning under Republican leadership.
Okay, now, black people are supposed to go back to the farms. That's how white America wanted. That's why MAGA voters wanted. Okay? DJT promised them, you know what? If we send these immigrants away, you won't face any disparity, any pressure because black folks are there. These are black jobs. They need to do them. And now they are losing their farms because no black person is going back to the goddamn farm. Why? Because black people have moved on. Black people are looking for something else. And the final report is that black folks, they are not going to bow down to the threats. Okay? The final report again is that MAGA farmers, they are losing their lands because no one is going back to those goddamn farms. Believe me. It's amazing that I'm seeing this happening right now because, they have been thinking black people, they are just like toys, playing around with them. Nobody's going to go pay fucking $2. If you don't want to be paid that $2 per hour or per what they pay, why do you want black people to go and be paid that $2 per? And with this economy, even black people are building their own self. Black people are moving their own pace. They don't need that. So you go back, tell DJT this failed. Let him bring back the migrants. I'm seeing this and I'm like, God damn it. Black people or black Americans, you are something else. You are something else. You have decided, you know what, we ain't falling for this. We ain't falling for the bait. Hey, it's better we build our own self. Let them try. Let them lose. Let their farms, let their products spoil on the farms. But black people ain't going back to the goddamn farms. You tell me what you think there. This is Final Report.